the Standard Super League. We're heading into round 3. Marshall Sutcliffe, I've got Paul Cheon with me. Paul, welcome. I can't wait to do coverage with you.
Yeah, I can't either.
We're going to
You
have
know,
some
I-
fun.
yeah. I told Channel that I'd be interested in doing some coverage in the future, so maybe we can work together at some point.
Oh, yeah, I think it was inevitable, especially, you and I, we share a special bond as
Right.
basically Luis's beating dolls.
Whipping men,
Yeah,
if you will.
exactly. All right, well,
Yeah.
let's take a look at our matchup. Paul, we're going to be watching Andrew Cuneo versus Tom the Boss Ross here this round. Let's start with Andrew Cuneo's list. No stranger to the spice. Cuneo has brought, it just says goggles. It's a Mardu goggles deck. What do you make of this list?
Well, actually, Kenji and I did coverage on Cuneo's match last week, so we
Mm-hmm.
actually did get to take a look at this list firsthand, and this is a brew. And I have to give Andrew props because I mean he is part of the Brewers bracket, if you will, and I mean he's living up to it. And look at this deck; it's got 4 creatures, all 2 drops, and 1 Ugin as its win conditions. Right? So the only way he can win is if he resolves an Ugin or gets value off of his 4 creatures or burning them out with Pyromancer's goggles. I don't even know.
I have no idea. I don't even. This deck is weird. He's playing Commune with Lava. He's got all types of stuff. You see the a bunch of burn spells though, Wild Slash, and also 4 Crackling Doom. Which, if you ask Tom Ross how good this matchup is, he thinks it's very poor for him. He thinks that Andrew Cuneo is going to have a good matchup here. Why don't we move over though and take a look at what Tom the Boss Ross is battling with? He's taking a Bant heroic deck to the table here. What is this deck trying to do, Paul?
Well, I mean, it's basically you just build your own beast or build your own monster. You start with one of your low drop heroic creatures and favorite hoplite or hero of Erois or Lagana Band Trailblazer in this case. You slap on some ordeals and try to protect it with either cheap counter magic and or God's Willings.
Okay.
And it looks like looking at Tom's deck, he does have some. He has added a little spice to his deck, something that is not commonly played in a lot of the heroic decks, and that's 3 copies of Hangerback Walker. This has truly been the card, the marquee card from Origins because it's basically everywhere. I've seen it in heroic, I've seen it in Abzan, and if you even took a look at the top 8 decks from GP London, 4 copies of the top 8 had Hangerback Walker Abzan aggro. 4 copies of Hangerback Walk. There were 16 Hangerback Walkers in the top 8 of that card. Yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely, that card, already had kind of broken out from Team Channel Fireball at the Pro Tour, and now it just seems to be spreading everywhere. Hangerback Walker Central, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I think one of the reasons that Tom is so worried about the matchup are the 4 copies of Crackling Doom that Andrew has access to, which are so good against these Bant heroic or any type of heroic deck, really.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But Hangerback Walker actually is pretty good against Crackling Doom. It's one of those things where Tom is not quite as all in on his creatures because he has access to the Hangerback Walker. So let's say he tries to pump up his Hangerback Walker, slaps on an Ordeal of Thoughts or whatever. Even if Cuneo does get off, a Crackling Doom. You sack a Hangerback Walker, boom, you still have a couple of flyers that Andrew still has to deal with. So.
And how important is it that? Actually, you know what? Let's head down to the match. I'm going to ask you this question when we get there, but for now, let's head down for round 3 from the Standard Super League.
Alrighty.
And it looks like players
I see a Commune with Lava in it.
Yeah, a good start for.
It looks like It looks like they have to swap the decks because I imagine Cuneo is not the one on.
Yeah, that's right. They're backwards. So how important is it though to the way that the game actually plays out now that Tom Ross knows Andrew's actual deck list here? I mean, is he going to play differently?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things is just to know that you can't reasonably expect to go all in on a large creature and have it, try to protect it with God's Willing, because that's generally the strategy for the heroic decks. But because of Crackling Doom, Tom has to be very mindful of that and try to maybe spread his threats a little bit, try to keep his creatures with even power levels so he can choose. I believe you get to choose. I'm not sure about that one.
You get to choose if they're the same, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think that's what Tom's going to try to do. But I mean, being on the play is huge, and Tom did draw the hangerback walker, which happens to be very good.
Yeah,
Although,
so yeah, he had one in his opening hand. He's led off with a favored hoplite. Now he's played a hangerback walker, and like you said in the pregame, this card could be one of the really important pieces to Tom if he's going to piece together a win here over the Mardu deck from Andrew Cuneo.
one card in Cuneo's hand that is actually very strong against hangerback walker is Anger of the Gods,
Yeah.
because it does prevent the tokens from being made because it exiles.
Yeah, this is a tough spot already for Tom Ross, as his mana isn't really allowing him to do multiple things. Like he can keep up mana for God's Willing or Dromoka's Command or even a Defiant Strike, or he can play Hero of Eros, but he can't play both. And right now Andrew Cuneo does have the mana to fire off Anger of the Gods here and really put a hurting on Tom Ross if he doesn't leave up God's Willing.
Yeah, Tom needs a brush land in play right now. That force is not doing him any favors, especially with all
Yeah.
the white spells in his hand. But he's really not in that much trouble. I mean, he's not putting that much pressure on Andrew. But his hand is actually his hand is actually pretty resilient to Hanger of the Gods. He's gonna pump up his Hanger of the Gods. Sorry, Hangerback Walker. If Cuneo goes for the anger, Tom does have the Gods willing to protect his Hangerback Walker, and I think the Hangerback Walker will go a long way as long as it doesn't get exiled.
Okay, so now we're like viewers at home, we're kind of shifting our eyes to that hangerback walker to see how long it ends up staying alive for here. Also interesting, I just saw that Tom, he main phase put a counter on the walker. Why did he do that?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I think because Cuneo does have access to a lot of instant speed 3 mana spells, he might have wanted to just fire it off there. The only thing is, like, if Cuneo did have like a wild slash or something, he might have gone for it there. And then if he does go for the wild slash there, Tom tries to save it, and then Cuneo gets to untap and Anger of the God. So I'm not sure I would have gone for the pump on the main phase. It likely would have been better to at least have waited till Cuneo's upkeep, to at least make him use his mana on his turn.
Okay. Well, he's got the 2/2 walker, and he's got the favorite hoplite sitting there, and Cuneo looks like he's going to fire off this Anger of the Gods and sort of get something out of the hand here for Tom Ross.
It actually looks like he's going to go for Colligan's Command, because Colligan's Command destroys artifacts.
Oh, of course.
Which is not something that comes up very often in Standard, but it happens all the time in Modern. Colligan's Command is a staple in Modern and is highly, highly effective against Affinity.
So how does this actually play out? He's actually doing it on upkeep here, but he can do 2 damage to the hoplite, and he can destroy an artifact here, leaving Tom Ross with something. But this, he let him go to his upkeep, which means that the Hangerback Walker can also just get bigger here in response.
Yeah, not sure. I mean, obviously, Tom has multiple ways to save his guys. I don't know what he's going to opt for here. Like, pumping the Hangerback Walker and just producing 3 flyers seems pretty reasonable, but I guess that leaves you kind of vulnerable to Anger of the Gods. So he might just choose to save the Hangerback Walker.
Yeah, he did. He gave it protection from red.
Oh, it looks like he found a Windswept Heath on top, which is super important. Yeah. Oh, apparently, I guess the spell gets fizzled.
Does it fizzle the whole thing?
Looked like the whole spell got fizzled. I don't think. Oh, did he go for a discard? No, he actually went for a discard. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. He went for a discard destroy, and
interesting. This has been super, like, very intricate game here already. It hasn't just been slamming removal spells into the other guy's threats here. It's been some tricky stuff going on, and Cuneo's setting up for an Anger of the Gods that he's hoping to wipe away both. You can see why.
This is going to be pretty brutal. So Tom is now just going to prevent the damage, because Dromoka's Command can prevent all damage from a spell, and then likely put a +1/+1 counter on, I'm going to guess, the favorite hoplite.
Really? Not on the walker?
Well, because by targeting a favorite hoplite, it gives it 2 +1/+1 counters.
So it's just more value.
Yeah, you just I know how much you love value. So.
I am an enthusiast.
Exactly. So now you have 5 power on the board, and then Tom can just sit back and just continue to go to town on Andrew's life total with 2 giant monstrous creatures with God's Willing and a Defiant Strike on defense.
Yeah, this is great. It's interesting, all these subtle decisions too that have to be made for Tom Ross. Like, he can put a counter on the hangerback walker, which gives him a little bit better of a bolstered late game play in case things go wrong. Or he can put it, like you said, on his favorite hoplite, which gives him a quicker clock right now and sort of diversifies his threats out a little bit. And I love all these little decisions. I didn't actually expect that from this matchup. But
Oh, it looks like he went for the pump on the hangerback walker, which gives him an additional token, but
I kind of liked your line though, spreading it out a little, and
it is one less damage.
All right, well, he's going to main phase Defiant Strike here to draw a card, and it looks like his mana base is caught up with him a little bit here. He finds Ordeal of Thassa, and he can't actually cast it at the moment, but no fear. He still has God's Willing up as well, and he's just going to rumble with both of his creatures. Now, one interesting thing here as well is that it's actually in his incentive to make sure that the Walker is always the biggest creature, right? Just in case Crackling Doom comes down.
That is true. That is true. And also, putting the hangerback at 4 toughness makes it so that Cuneo can't actually cast Anger of the Gods. So maybe that was his plan all along. Tom's played the Bantoric thing far more than I have.
Yeah.
So, by putting the counter on the hangerback walker, he makes it so that he doesn't have to fire off a protection spell to protect the hangerback against an Anger of the Gods.
All right. He drew a Defiant Strike for the turn. Wouldn't mind finding a blue mana source here.
Mana Confluence would be great.
Yeah, he doesn't though. Instead he finds Dromoka's Command. So now he's got that available, or he also could cast another Hoplite or keep God's Willing up. So he's got a lot of options, even just on the 3 mana. It looks like he's going to get aggressive here and maybe do a little fighting.
Yeah, I wonder at what point he's going to start attacking. I guess this is a turn where he's going to, let's see, put a +1/+1 counter on favorite Hoplite and then go for a fight. And that's just, what, 11 damage?
Yeah, I mean, right now, wait a minute. Cuneo's at 11. Is this lethal?
No, maybe it's 10 damage. Let's see.
Okay, so
he puts a +1/+1 counter, which gives it a +1/+1 another +1/+1 counter, making it 6 power, and then the hangerback
is going to fight. Now, what Cuneo did in response though is he played Wild Slash, and he did that just to make a monk token to block. He saw the writing on the wall here, didn't want to go to 1, and he's going to chump block with a monk.
Yeah, one problem with Cuneo's deck is he's got a lot of excellent removal spells, but they all cost 3 mana. And it's really hard to... It's just so inefficient because, Tom has all these 1 mana and 2 mana effects that protect his guys.
That makes it, and your point is borne out in this game here as he's got double Kolaghan's Command and a Crackling Doom in his hand, and he just can't empty his hand out in a timely fashion here. I mean, this scenario now looks pretty bad for Cuneo, thanks to the card that we talked about pregame, the Hangerback Walker. I mean, he can deal with these threats, but it's not going to be fast enough, and the Hangerback's going to leave behind way too much. Even though it looks like Tom Ross's hand is kind of stalled out with another Ordeal of Thassa, it just won't matter here.
Yeah, he really doesn't need anything else at this point.
Yeah.
To come back from. So, I mean, what's Cuneo going to do here? Destroy an artifact and return a creature? Damage doesn't do anything anymore.
Yeah, he could buy back a creature. Yeah, this just seems really bad for Cuneo here. I think he's going to get back Monastery Mentor.
All Tom has to do is just cast a God's Willing and win the game because, I mean, it's not like Cuneo has Swords to Plowshares in his deck.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, and he does exactly that.
I wonder if the Commune with Lavas are going to get boarded out after game 1.
Why are they in there?
I mean,
a better question.
It's Sweet with Goggles, maybe?
Yeah, it must be. He must be able to just turn the corner and just kind of go off with Goggles. But that's going to do it for game 1 here. Yeah. Tom Ross with a little bit of a clunky draw. I mean, his deck doesn't need that much mana to go. So that wasn't bad. But, he never even found his 3rd color and still picked up the victory pretty easily.
Yeah, just apparently white-green heroic is good enough to Cuneo's brew. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to sideboarding, maybe we could bring up the deck list again for Andrew Cuneo here. We talked a little bit about Commune with Lava and the fact that might want to come out. Does anything else jump out to you from the sideboard that might be coming in?
So, Hero's Downfall is pretty good because it does allow you to kill a creature that you're trying to go all in on. But once again, it's another 3 mana spell. And I feel like Cuneo is going to bring it in, but it's not great. Silk Wrap is actually probably the best card here. Silk Wrap and Glare of Heresy are both really, really strong cards because it's at least a 2 mana answer to whatever Tom's trying to do. Now, the problem with Silk Wrap is Tom still has Dramoka's command. So you can still
Of
get back
course.
whatever creature you Silk Wrap. At the same time, if you're Silk Wrapping a Hangerback Walker, which is one of the more annoying cards to deal with, and if you deal with the Silk Wrap, it doesn't matter. The Hangerback's just going to just still be dead.
Yeah, it comes back as a 0/0, of course. Now, I also see a couple of other cards here. I see an Erase.
Yeah.
Is that the way that you beat this deck? Is by picking apart the actual enchantments on the creatures?
Well, there's actually this is a lot different. I mean, the older versions of heroic used to have more like the white ordeals or more enchantments to put on its creatures,
Mm-hmm.
but and aqueous forms. But the new version just doesn't have that. All it has are the four blue ordeals, and then just a bunch of pump spells. You have your Defiant Strikes, you have your Dramoka's commands, you have your God's Willings, and outside of that, I mean, you don't have any other enchantments. So I don't think Erase is the most effective sideboard card for the matchup. If I were to guess, Cuneo is likely going to bring in the Glare, the two Silk Wraps, and the Hero's Downfalls.
And the Fiery Impulse, I would
Yeah,
suppose.
the Fiery Impulse as well.
Yeah.
And
And
there's plenty of cards to take out.
Nick's Fleece Ram's not the kind of thing that gets the job done here either, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's Cuneo is trying to go to the late game, and Nyx Fleece Ram will be able to block for a couple of turns, and then it'll be kind of useless afterwards. It's possible he brings it in because once again, you're looking at his deck. There's plenty of cards to board out.
Okay. Well, let's head back down to the match. It looks like they're ready for game number 2. All right, they're not quite ready. Actually, why don't we take a look then at Tom Ross's sideboard for anything that jumps out to you?
Yeah. So Tom's deck, I mean, just looking at his main deck configuration, it already seems pretty good against Cuneo's deck. I mean, going into his sideboard, if he thinks that the matchup's going to be grindier, I can see him bringing in Treasure Cruise and Negate. Negate seems fantastic. I'm not sure about the Disdainful Stroke. I guess it gets the goggles, but most of Cuneo's spells cost 3 or less. And he doesn't need Aqueous Form because Cuneo doesn't play any creatures.
Right.
So,
all right. Looks like we're ready for game number 2 here, Paul. How do you predict this to play out? You can see their opening hands here.
Well, Cuneo kept the Commune with the Lava card.
It's still in
the deck.
But he also has double Wild Slash this time.
The interesting thing here is, Tom's hand is pretty good, but Favored Hoplite is the only creature in his hand. It'll be interesting to see if he chooses to just gun it out turn 1 or wait and play it on turn 2 when he has protection. Well, it looks like he drew a Seeker of the Way, so maybe that answers that question.
Because now he has threat into threat, and so he'll just run out the first one here.
Right.
Is this going to get immediately Wild Slash by Cuneo?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just snap it off. He drew a Magmatic Insight, which is actually looks like quite a good draw, given that he kept a fairly land-heavy hand, though. I do see that Commune with Lava just slowly getting worse every...
Can you discard the Commune with Lava?
I would try it. I would click on it. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, I've definitely done that. Even like playing, you're not sure if you played your extra land, so I just click on the land just to make sure I didn't play. All right, what is he gonna do here? Is he just gonna play out the Seeker here? Yeah, looks like he is.
Yeah, he's going for it. And guess what? That thing's gonna get Wild Slash too, and he is out of threats.
The goggles.
Oh, and the goggles are here too. This is a big turn for Cuneo because he gets to play that Magmatic Insight. He just finds 2 more lands, but he also gets to take out the Seeker here. Wow.
Yeah, and Tom doesn't have anything else going for him.
He has no threats. Nothing.
Yeah.
Wow, this could get insane. It looks like Andrew might get a reprieve unless Tom can find a threat very quickly.
Yeah, and that was why, for turn 1, I was questioning whether or not he was going to go for the Favored Hoplite.
Whoa.
Wow. Well,
is that good?
The awkward part about this is if Cuneo does go for removal spell, or let's say he had a removal spell, Tom has to go fetch your planes, and then he can't cast that Dramoka's command.
Oh, good point. Now, as it turns out, he's gonna get a pass on that.
Yeah,
because he doesn't.
Yeah, that was really, really fortunate for Tom. If Tom just misses on a creature just for 1 turn at least, Cuneo gets to play the goggles, and maybe we could have seen some magic happen.
Wow, he just went creature into creature. Laganaban Trailblazers next.
Yeah.
Are we going to see a Commune with Lava on end step here?
Potentially, but it looks like Tom has the fear of Crackling Doom, and is choosing not to put the Ordeal, and instead he's opting to play the Laganaban Trailblazer and then putting the Ordeal on the Lagana Trailblazer so that he can basically play around Crackling Doom.
All right, well, here we go. Pyromancer's Goggles. The legendary artifact is on the stack, and it is going to resolve.
You know, at least he's just at least you know, Cuneo's not going to die on this turn. So if he draws
he's at
something,
18.
you know, maybe he draws an Anger of the Gods and deals 6 damage.
I think he's just going to commune with lava for like 100 here or something. I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen next, Paul Cheon. I'm just going to sit here and watch and hope that it's awesome.
You know, when Cuneo was tapped, I guess. Oh no, never mind. He wanted the green mana. I was considering maybe playing a Defiant Strike on the Lagana Band end of turn, but I guess he wanted the green mana for the Dromoka's Command.
Yeah, that's right. And now, of course, thanks to the Hero of Iroas, he can play the Ordeal of Thassa for cheap, cash it in right now, and still have white mana up for God's Willing, while
Cuneo
crunching for 6 damage too.
Cuneo needs a Crackling Doom off the top.
Yeah, that would do it, wouldn't it? And unless,
that would be great.
Yeah, that would, because it looks like Tom found a Defiant Strike in a land, so he's not going to be able to play another creature here. And if he can find Defiance or Crackling Doom, he can kill both threats.
Yeah, I think if Tom wants to get value out of the Scry land, he should opt to fetch a Plains first, then play the Temple of Plenty to leave up the God's Willing, because you know there's a good chance he's going to have to do that anyways.
Okay. Now it looks like he decided just to play it. So the problem being here that if he finds something he wants to keep, but then also has to crack the Windswept Teeth at some point, then he won't get that card anymore.
Exactly, because you only really need 1 green source. Dromoka's Command is the only green card in the deck.
And he can't cast that this turn anyway. It looks like he bottomed a land. Oh, it was a land off the top, though, for Cuneo. Here he goes.
Okay,
Commune.
What's he going to do it for?
I don't know.
2?
But he's doing it. He's doing it for 2, and he gets it twice.
Okay, so it's like doing it for 4.
Yeah. Let's see what he hits.
I've just never seen this card cast ever. So.
I haven't either. Well, actually, somebody cast it against me in Limited, but that didn't work out well for them.
Yeah, of course not. Okay, so none of those cards do anything. None of those cards do anything. So we can play a land, and I guess a Colligan's Command, or maybe go for Anger of the Gods. No, Colligan's Command is more value.
Command is more value, though it does mean that the hero's going to get saved here, right? I guess either way. Yeah. And you just pass a turn back. Now these are still live. You can play those cards until his turn, so this looks like it's not going to work out well for Cuneo.
No, there's no. He needs like a. I mean, if Cuneo does top deck a Crackling Doom into more spells, he might find his way back in. But yeah, right now it's things are looking pretty grim.
Yeah, I mean, even then, like it looks like Ross might even have like a Monastery Mentor going at that point.
Yeah.
This is gonna be rough. Also, this Ban Heroic deck can kill out of nowhere, and Tom is holding double Defiant Strike, God's Willing, Dromoka's Command.
Yeah,
which he can cast all of. No, he can cast almost all of that island, screwing things up for him a little bit.
He can cast 3 of the spells in his hand.
Yeah.
The only thing Tom has to be wondering though is Cuneo main phase the Commune, right? So it's incredibly unlikely that he has a Crackling Doom, because if he had a Crackling Doom, he would have just fired it off on his turn. So it might be reasonable to try to go for it and just make sure you have God's Willing up. I don't know exactly how much damage he can do right now. He's got a 3/7 Trailblazer and a 2/2. If he goes for like double Defiant Strike, looks like he's just choosing to play it a little safe here. Wait, Cuneo couldn't cast anything that turn? Is that what?
Guess not.
Okay, and you can't copy the Glare of Heresy because it is not a red spell.
You're right. So he can copy Anger of the Gods here.
Oh, okay. Oh, he can he can do all of the. Okay, so he can do that, and then Colligan's Command, and then Glare of Heresy.
Does this get the job done though?
Um,
We see Tom lining up a God's Willing here.
well, there is a Dromoka's Command, so he. Well, Dromoka's Command doesn't really work because there's 2 copies of the Anger of the Gods.
So he can blank one of them.
Right.
And it looks like he's going to save his Monastery Mentor. It's going to produce a monk token, but not long for this world monk token.
Right, right.
So he'll lose his hero and the monk, but he won't lose the Trailblazer or the mentor here, right?
Right, and then the second Anger's not really going to do anything either. The Trailblazer will have 6 damage on it, but what's he going for now?
Oh, is he going to respond with the command on the mentor?
With the Colligan's Command. But then Tom can now just cast a Defiant Strike to pump it up.
Yeah, just to use the regular prowess ability to make it 3. Now how much? And then the after the God's Willing resolves, it'll have protection from red, and the Angers won't be able to finish it off. So, right. Yeah, again, this sequence worked out well for Tom Ross, even though Andrew seemed like he had a pretty good scenario set up. Also, I mean, we should note here that Andrew has drawn a heck of a lot of lands here. He's still got 3 more lands in his hand.
This is actually not looking that bad. He does have a Foundry, and basically all Tom's going to have is a Monastery Mentor and a Trailblazer. And Cuneo did draw the Glare of Heresy, so he will be able to kill either the Monastery Mentor or the Trailblazer, whichever one he wants. And,
that's interesting.
And Tom will be left with just 1 threat.
Okay, so and Cuneo's at 7 life here, so he does have to kill something, or else basically any spell would have him dead.
Right. It's kind of interesting to like. I think he probably goes for the Trailblazer because that doesn't threaten lethal, and he just has to hope that like Tom doesn't have a bunch of spells in his hand. Because, well, if Tom has a bunch of spells in his hand, Cuneo's dead anyways.
Yeah.
With the Trailblazer being in place. So yeah, Cuneo goes for the Glare of Heresy. Tom can make a couple of tokens next turn, but he doesn't have lethal.
He can give it. Let's see prowess. He can make it.
He can deal 6 damage.
4, 5, 6. Yeah. Yeah, he didn't draw a spell either. So it looks like Cuneo is going to get 1 more untap step here, and also we'll note that he's got a Foundry of the Consuls down there too.
So Tom choosing to thin out his deck. If he draws any spell here, he will win the game.
He knows he's tapped out.
Nope, oh, that won't do it. Just
that is not good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, that effectively wins the game, I would think, just because it blanks any of the outs that Cuneo had.
Well, but Cuneo can copy.
Oh, right, of course.
So he has 2 copies of the red spell.
Okay. So he might still be in this.
The problem is Anger doesn't even... Well, let's see. There's a Dromoka's... Oh, man. If Cuneo does draw an Anger of the Gods, I think it would work.
Oh, he drew a Kolaghan's Command.
What does this do? Hold on.
Unfortunately for Cuneo, it's red.
Well, he can fire off the Kolaghan's Command and still make tokens off the Foundry because he has a Battlefield Forge in his hand. So he's still not 100% dead yet. I don't.
Yeah, you're right. And so if he copies the Kolaghan's Command, he can. This actually doesn't look that terrible, right?
Well, let's see. Well,
he's at 3.
Cuneo has to know that Morph is a Stratus Dancer, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, do you go for the Kolaghan's Command on Tom's turn? I mean, he's at 3 life.
It's unlikely to keep his mana tied up. I mean, Tom only has 2 green sources, so you could do that. I mean, you force him to use your Confluence. I don't know that it matters a ton here.
Yeah, Andrew doesn't have any creatures to get back. If he could get back like a Soulfire Grandmaster, but
I mean, he does. If he goes for it now, he does force Tom Ross to decide between Dromoka's Command or turning up the Dancer.
Yeah, yeah.
He's only got the 2.
I think he's gonna go for the Morph and the token
on upkeep here. He has passed to upkeep, and he's going to actually go for the discard here as well, just in case it was like a threat that was left over in Tom's hand. It turns out it wasn't.
I guess that's actually, never mind. I guess that's actually the only mode that he can choose.
Okay. Well, here he goes. He gets to make a copy of it and do it again.
You get to choose different modes for the second copy?
I'm assuming.
You don't?
Oh, it's the same modes because it's a copy. All right. Well, that obviously factors in as well. So it copies it as if it were that exact spell on the stack here.
So the reason why Cuneo waited is because I think his thought process was, well, if Tom protects his guy on Cuneo's turn, then Tom's just going to have 4 creatures in play, and like any number of spells that he plays on his turn just gives him a lot more damage. It would give him 3 powerless creatures to go with.
So now though he can copy one, he can counter 1 copy with his Stratus Dancer, which is lethal by the way, and then he can also prevent the damage from the other with Dromoka's command here.
Right. So, but he can still chump with the Foundry tokens.
Yes.
Now, unless Tom puts a +1/+1 counter on the Prowess Monk.
Oh, that's interesting.
Then that's 3 damage all around, and one of the creatures will get through the 2 Thopter tokens, and Cuneo should be dead.
Yeah. Also, Tom still has his draw step coming too.
Right.
So he has outs there as well.
Yeah, I kind of just want to see Cuneo win a game.
I did too. We all did, right? I mean, so the guy brought Pyromancer goggles to the Standard Super League. We're all secretly rooting for him. Also, I mean, Tom Ross, he seemed genuine. He thought this matchup was completely horrific for him. Before he got off the air from commentating the last round, he's like, before I go, I want to let everybody know how bad this matchup is. Like, it was that bad. And
that was just an insurance policy.
Was he just posturing?
Just not sure,
So now he's stomping him.
Yeah, this game is likely over. Dromoka's Command. Quite a card. It's one of the biggest risers actually in standard. With Origins, with people playing the Thopter deck and even mono red becoming far more popular. I think Dromoka's Command, one of the most important cards in standard to go with Hangerback Walker. I think those are kind of the 2 cards that are basically popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
It's in Kibler's deck. It's in the Abzan aggro deck. You see it in the Bant Heroic deck. And it was always in the Bant Heroic deck, but it's just the Bant Heroic deck just happened to get a little bit better just because of Dromoka's Command just being a much more relevant card in standard.
Yeah. And that's going to do it. Tom the Boss Ross defeats Andrew Cuneo in 2 games. They were interesting, and Cuneo even got to go off a bit.
Yeah, he got to use the goggles.
He got to use the goggles.
That's all everybody wanted to see.
And he did it on 3 spells, right? Commune, Anger, and then that Kolagon's Command. But none of it was enough to beat Tom Ross. So poor Cuneo's going to have to settle for a loss here. But it was fun to watch. I mean, I certainly appreciate the fact that he brought this sick brew to the table here.
And yeah. The deck seemed pretty awesome. Actually, when we were testing for the Pro Tour, we also had a goggles deck built, but it was a blue-red control version with like treasure cruises and counter magic. But I'm sure Cuneo had something like that built, but it was probably too close to his mill deck.
Yeah, because he had to figure out if he wanted to play El Hammeret's Archive or Pyromancer's God.
Yeah. But I mean, this is a pretty cool deck as well. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to match up when you're playing against like real decks in standard, not just if everybody brought like some crazy brew, maybe it would have a chance. But I think everybody else just kind of has like more or less a good standard deck with like 2 or 3 different cards.
Yeah, and I mean, you and I are kind of the poster guys for not bringing a crazy brew. We both.
Yeah. Well, we're in the streamers bracket.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I had a deck that I wanted to play. I did a deck tech at GP San Diego for this almost mono blue devotion deck that was really fun. It has Collected Company in it as well. And I actually built it on Magic Online and played some games with it. And, it didn't seem amazing, but it was fun and I liked it. And I was thinking about bringing it, but then, when I matched it up to what I thought I was going to be playing against, I decided it wasn't the best idea. So I brought a real deck instead.
I had somebody tell me that I think it was a baseball game that you guys went to. And I heard that you were talking about, man, Paul's going to be in our bracket. How are we going to beat him? And I heard that you guys were like, well, maybe if we all play a deck that we think is going to beat Gion's deck, that's what we're going to play. And let's all play the anti-Gion deck.
You weren't supposed to hear that. We thought
I
all
have
3 of us
everywhere.
And then we said the deal was we'll figure it out after, right? Because look, when you look at our bracket, right, we've got myself, Kenji, and Gabby, right? Not quite on the same caliber as you are, right? I mean, you're a gold pro, you're playing for platinum. Like, you know, you should look at the pro points tiebreaker.
Oh yeah, the pro points tiebreaker would be good. Would be
It would
good.
be slightly in your
Well, you and
favor.
Kenji have pro points, right?
Yeah, I have two.
Yeah, yeah. Is that from Salt Lake, right?
That's one from Salt Lake and one from Austin. Yeah, I've got two
Okay.
off of 4 GPs. I was gonna tell Randy I'm the Randy Bueller of GPs. I just short career but crushed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so it looks like we'll take a break here. Paul, thanks for doing the round though. That was fun, and we'll be back in just a little bit with more Standard Super League.